Hello and welcome to Dragonheart. We're minus Che today, but I am your host, Bill Long, and I'm here with Neil Williams and Mark Griffiths. And I sound tired or laboured or possibly a tiny bit like I may have had a few pops last night, then you wouldn't be wrong. This is Dragonheart.
I'm Luke Young, and this is Dragonheart.
So, we are recording this on Tuesday, the day after the big game. But we do have one game that we very reluctantly need to talk about first, and that is Friday's match against Halifax. Now, obviously that looks a little bit different in the hindsight of what happened yesterday, but Neil, it wasn't a good result at all, was it?
I mean, we had two big games at the weekend, in 4 days. We were looking forward to the Halifax game. Me last week, I thought we were going to smash it. We're going to go there easily and win. And even beforehand, I was saying, we've got the players on the pitch. But first half, we were all right. Second half, I think the whole team just fell apart a bit. I mean, Halifax were very good at closing us down. They had a very good game plan.
Yeah.
And it just didn't turn out how we expected it to turn out. With nearly 5,000 fans there as well. A tremendous atmosphere at the game. Even coming from the train station, it was amazing. And whether the players were just thinking about the game, Monday's game, I'm not too sure. But it was one of their poorer performances of the season, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe they did lose a bit of focus. Maybe thought they had it in the bag, especially after getting one goal. But Mark, I got to admit, I would usually listen to all your content, hot take, final whistle, all that stuff. I could not bring myself to listen to any of that after getting myself home. So apologies if I ask any questions that you may have already said on other podcasts. But
well, don't worry, Bill, because I wasn't listening to myself. I was so disheartened.
So, I mean, what was your assessment of it, really, Mark?
Well, Bill, or to give you your new title, the least lightweight long, because at least you turned up unlike Che.
Yeah, he did have a good excuse, though.
Oh, yeah, not being able to handle your drink isn't a good excuse in my book, Neil. No. He's obviously got to look after the kids, isn't he, after a couple of football days away. But yeah, sorry, go on, Mark.
I didn't realise we were going to give him a sick note then, sorry. I thought, yes, there was a lot wrong with what happened. I feel in a way, though, that there have been quite a few away games that could have gone that way. We've had a few first halves where we've made chances, we've maybe gone in one ahead, but the other side have been in it as well. And then we've kicked on in the second half. This one was just the complete opposite in the second half. I thought there were signs of it in the first half, because I thought the first 5 minutes, it's going to be 6-0. This is glorious. We just penned them in the penalty area, and I thought this is perfect. And then we lost a grip of the game in midfield. They were physical, Halifax, not knocking them, but they were physical. They were closing down quicker than businesses after Kwesi Kwarteng's economic statement. And I just thought, okay, we are in difficulty. But then this happens in away games sometimes. People press us, we struggle a bit, and then we
kick on.
We correct it, and teams tire. Halifax didn't seem to tire, to their enormous credit. We finished that half well, and when I was doing the podcast that Bill refused to listen to, it made me realise...
Bill, I didn't listen to it anyhow.
But you don't anyway, Neil, come on.
Oh, I do?
You're too busy bothering pigs. Well, I'll be honest, if I was turned into sausages, I'd be bothered.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I thought, when I looked at my notes doing it, we should have got a second goal in that late period, and that would have probably killed the game off. And then at the half-time, the second half, it was that classic combination of factors that add up to a disaster. They continued their energy. Ali was sensational, and I've got things to say about him as a player. I think it was one of those days in a way. Looking at him previously, I think he's the sort of player like Jimmy Toure, or that sort of player or Fondop maybe is a better example, where I don't think he reads the game that well, but he's got good attributes and he makes poor decisions. But sometimes those decisions can work out. The sort of guy who once in every 10 games looks great and has his group of fans who think he's wonderful, and then he'll disappear the rest of the time. And if you look at him the Saturday before against Altrincham in the FA Trophy semi-final, he scores the last-minute equaliser, and it's exactly the same as what he did for the 2 goals he scored against us. He gets it on the left. This is one thing he does, cuts onto his right and just runs into the crowd. And that's if you're going to do it without thinking about passing, that's pretty stupid. But the thing is that we pulled her off on Saturday. We've obviously scouted him, and yet our defenders let him do it twice successfully. The first one particularly was bad. I thought the way they backed off. And it's like, no, that's the guy who, if you come and meet him, he'll just run into trouble. There was an example in the first half, actually. He hit a shot across Foster that went just wide, where he is a brilliant break back. Like I say, he's got attributes, he's got real ability. He burst in like that again, exactly the same move. And he had much better options either side of him, but he was never going to pass it. He had a simple pass to play a player in right round the back of the defence, and then we'd have one marking 2 in the goal mouth. And he had a pass to his right that could have put a striker clear on Foster, but instead he hit it from the outside the box. And it was a decent hit, but that's what he does. He doesn't. But if you allow him the space, his bad decisions become good decisions.
Yeah.
So there were things like that going on. Tozer and O'Connell didn't match their normal standards, frankly. And it all added up.
And to be fair, they were on the back of their, FA Trophy win against Altrincham, which sent them to Wembley, so they were on a high already. I mean, speaking to fans after the game, they said they'd never seen Halifax play so well all season. So they've obviously raised their game because Wrexham are coming to town, which a lot of teams do. But for some reason, we just didn't react to their press and their play in the second half. We just sat back and let them attack us, and we just didn't defend.
And their support was up about 50% from what it normally is.
Yeah.
Sometimes we travel in big numbers, and that's brilliant, but it throws down a gauntlet to the other side, and so they probably made more noise than they have all season as well.
Well, I was just going to say, but what are both of your opinions on whether the crowd was a hindrance, the away crowd was a hindrance?
You wouldn't have thought so, because they play in front of a big crowd, when we're at home.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't make a difference to them. I mean, it was to be fair, on Wrexham fans, they were fantastic at Halifax. They made so much noise, and they filled, half the ground, Nearly 5,000 of the 7,500 there? So there's twice as many Wrexham fans there as there were at Halifax. And for your professional players, it should make a difference. It should encourage you that they've got these fans. It may have hindered them, I don't know, but we'll never know, I guess.
I can't believe it at all. I mean, this is a hard-bitten team. They weren't scared at Coventry. They weren't scared at Sheffield.
Very true.
And as Neil quite rightly says, they're playing every week in front of 10,000 fans. They want this. Any good professional wants this, and it motivates them. It was just, I think, the combination of all those different factors. I mean, I think as well, I am a massive fan of Andy Cannon. But I think that when there's a physical game like that, as a holding midfielder, he's not naturally a holding midfielder, and so often Ali's first person to take on's him, and he gets past him pretty easily. Whereas if it's O'Connor sitting in, Cannon's a bit further up in midfield. I'm not trying to criticise Cannon; he's a fantastic player, but O'Connor would stop him probably because he can, as we saw on Monday, play centre back. He is physically equipped to just either force you wide or to stop you. Whereas Cannon is glorious in that position, as we saw at Oldham, where he just regulates play. He just sits 35 yards out. He's always there. He moves the ball accurately and quickly, and he's brilliant at that. But that was the sort of game that maybe doesn't suit him in that role. Yeah. I would argue.
It looked as if he didn't want the ball on against Halifax. He would always look to pass it to. As soon as he got the ball, he wouldn't try and take on an opposition player. He'd pass it back to a Wrexham player, rather than churning and taking on and going forwards. His option was always to play it back or sideways, and it was very quick at doing that, as if he didn't want the ball at Halifax. But
to be fair, I think as well his default style of play is to move it on quickly.
Yeah,
it's just that if you're not facing towards the other side's goal, and that side's pressing really hard, it's more sensible and safe to play it the way you're facing and give it to someone rather than try and. Well, when he did try and turn it around the corner, he gave the ball away for the first goal. So you can't win, you can't lose.
His confidence as well, and we saw that in Mendy as well at Halifax. He tried to take on a player a few times and didn't get past him, and you could see that confidence oozing out of him. And it was just one of those games where the team didn't click in the second half, and we just move on. You know, we all know what happened yesterday, which takes so much of that hurt away from Friday.
Well, I mean, as well, though, it's thinking about Mendy as well. I mean, I understand the stream didn't really do justice to how bad the pitch was, especially down the sides. And I think Mendy found it quite difficult running on a beach, essentially. You know, and as well, I think Golden, like you said, the player he was up against, I thought defended really, really well. Yeah. And I was sort of thinking, it's time for Mendy maybe to stop doing this because it's not working. You know, trying to do him for pace is not going to work on him. He was very canny. I thought it was time to try and play little passes inside and run it behind, maybe.
Yes, I think there's not much else to say about that game, really, is there? You know, it's
nice goal by Lee.
It was a fantastic goal by Lee, and
set up by Dalby, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dalby did really well. I thought of that.
That whole first half performance, while maybe not us at our best, it was just a weird game in that they didn't show any signs in that first half. Really, I know what you're saying. You know, it was like some of our away performances where we've gotten away with it, but I don't know. I just felt quite comfortable going in at half time, more than comfortable. Unfortunately,
yeah, that's a big thing. I don't think we expected what happened in the second half.
Yeah,
we weren't prepared for that. Because normally we come in half time, we kick on in the second half, don't we? We seem to have that added bit of pace in the second half, and a lot of the games we've done that in the second half. We've been played far better than the first half, and we were expecting that. And when we saw it going downhill, it was a good day out though in Halifax. It was a lovely place to go.
And
a great day away.
Very welcoming as well, considering how many people from Wrexham had showed up. So
Halifax was a lovely place to go. Did you just say?
It was really, really good. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Have you ever watched Happy Valley?
No.
Oh, that's I wouldn't go to Halifax, but I could get
you
murdered.
Look at some of the compliments from there was a cocktail bar somewhere where they were complimenting how great all the Wrexham fans were, and a lot of the bars were put on one of the Wrexham fan sites how good and great they were to have Wrexham and come to Halifax again any time.
We're so middle class, aren't we? It's cocktail bars.
I didn't go to the cocktail bar. We went straight from the station to the football ground.
I don't know if you remember, but
via Home Bargains. I think we went for
drink. All right, fair enough.
For a drink in
I went for a drink in Home Bargains.
Yes.
Hey, fair enough. I was working as a waitress in the cocktail bar when I met you, Neil.
I can't remember, Mark.
You picked me up, you used something else and turned me around, turned me to someone new. And now I feel it's time to live my life on my own, and I wish Bill would interrupt.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's much else to say really. I don't want to after what happened yesterday. I don't really want to dwell too much on Halifax.
But it had to be covered, you know.
Part of the season.
Yeah, we can't just ignore. You know, you're not Starling, mate. You can't just cut the Halifax game out of history.
Wouldn't that be good?
Oh yeah. But it means we didn't finish the season and we'll get kicked out of the league.
Well, I'm sure Starling had many persuasive ways. Anyway, let's move on from that. After this,
this could get dark. What's it going to do to the National League Board now?
Well, you know, I never condone anybody getting what they don't deserve, but so moving swiftly on, we're going to talk about Notts County.
I'm Aaron Hayden, and this is Dragonheart.
I don't know how to start this, Neil. Really don't. I think it's yesterday was magic, wasn't it?
It was billed, well, it was, in many people's eyes, maybe the title decider after what happened on Friday at Halifax. You know, if Wrexham lost that game, you know, gave Notts County the advantage, really, because they had a far better goal difference than us. And even if we won all our games after they won, we'd just still, you know, been in the playoffs. So yesterday was huge, and you could see it on people's faces. But we were quite relaxed, weren't we, Mark? Getting ready for commentary, and Che was really relaxed yesterday as well.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, I'm not.
No, it genuinely was.
Yeah,
was it?
But then I think as they got closer to kick-off, he was getting a bit. But I've never seen Che so laid back as he was yesterday, and happy with looking forward to the game.
I've got to admit, I felt sick as a dog all
I know you
morning.
said, yeah. A lot of people said that.
Awful. Real, genuine, proper nerves. This season, in particular, and even last season to an extent, I've stopped feeling nervous with Wrexham. Partly because we're good, but partly because it's just kind of like, oh well, this has just been fun anyway. But that was just even thinking about it. Just
And then you want to put beer on top of that.
well, the beer did make it a little bit easier, to be honest. But that's you know, I think there was just such at the final whistle. I mean, we can obviously. We'll go through the game, but at the final whistle, there was such a palpable sense of relief and achievement.
Yeah.
But it's not over yet, is it? We've got to get 7 points from our next 4 games, assuming Notts County are perfect. We're playing teams like Barnet, Yeovil, Boreham Wood, and Torquay, who all potentially have something to play for when we play against them. Notts County only have one team that have got something to play for, and am I right in saying they've got to play Maidstone, who are already relegated anyway?
Yeah.
So,
but there's no pressure on Maids. It's a bit like Dover when they came to us, you know.
right? Yeah. So yeah, it's there is that.
There's no pressure on them
There is
at all.
that.
They're relegated.
But that was a freak, wasn't it? Do you think? I mean, I look at it the other way. That's the last game of the season, and if it came down to goal difference, it'd be quite nice to play them last and have a rough idea of how many goals have the span come by. You know.
Yeah.
I can see Langstaff filling his boots in that game.
It's gonna be a strange one, isn't it? I think personally. No, I'm not going to say it.
Well, I'll say what I think personally about the chances of the running. As soon as we jump past, that was a quick summary of the Notts County game, wasn't it?
I think that the Notts County game needs like its own attention, but let's have a little bit of a look at the running. Maybe I don't know. I can't even think straight today.
I think Notts County got an easier running than us on paper.
Yeah.
But when you look at form, Barnet, I think, have won 1 in the last 5, and Boreham Wood have won 1 in the last 5. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they're just having a little bit of a wobble. I admit Torquay, well, I really don't want us to go there in the last day of the season needing a win, especially if they need a win, because they're doing superbly well, aren't they? They're winning hand over fist.
3 or 4 games?
I think 4, isn't it? I'm looking at them.
I don't know their form, but I had a look at the table earlier, and I was really surprised how much ground they've made.
Yeah, they were right down the bottom, and now they're just short of being safe, to the extent that I've been looking at them the last couple of weeks thinking, start losing, just make sure that you're down by the time you play us. So now I'm starting to think, maybe keep winning and be safe by the time you play us.
Yes, yeah.
That's how much it turned around.
Yeah.
And in Yeovil's form is 1 point in the last 15.
Are they relegated?
They're not relegated, but they're close. I can't remember the table whether they could be by next Tuesday.
I was going to say, I think if they're not already relegated by the time they play us, we could relegate them. I think.
Yeah.
Looking at it.
Yeah. So
I think they're on about 30. I want to say 39, but I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
Scunthorpe have just been relegated on 36, haven't they?
So not Torquay are actually the form team they've got to play, even if they're down the bottom.
Yeah.
And are Barnet and Boreham Wood safe in the playoffs? I'm not sure. I've not looked
Pretty
at the
much, but there's loads to play for in terms of what sort of playoff you're going to get.
Do you know what? We have this magical thing called the internet. I might just have a quick
I've
look
heard of
while
that. Yeah.
You guys keep chatting. I'll just have a look. Get the table.
Have you heard of the internet, Neil, or has it not got to the church yet?
No. My bike doesn't power up the internet. It'll get the lights going just.
Yeah.
But pushing it a bit if you want the internet as well, see?
Hey, have you been to the cinema lately?
No.
They talk in it now.
So
believe it?
we've got Barnet next, who are on 69 points in 5th. They are 6 points ahead of Bromley in 8th. So, I mean, you'd fancy them to be in the playoffs, but they still need to win their games, and their form is 1 win in 5 with 3 draws. Boreham Wood are on 66 points, so similar sort of form. Yeovil have only got 1 draw in the last 5, and they're on 39. Aldershot, who are in 20th, have got 45 points. So with them being 6 behind and 4 games left, they've still got enough time. But I suppose if they lose their next game and then lose to us, it will be over for them, won't it? So
our game's the game in hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
but saying that, they don't. The teams immediately above, the 3 teams immediately above them, Torquay, Aldershot, and Dorking, also have games in hand as well. So they haven't got a game in hand on those teams. They just have on some of the others. So it's not looking good for them, is it?
No.
But we have to remember Yeovil came to us last season and beat us 2-0.
That's true. Last season to beat us, yeah.
Yeah.
Drew with us at Yeovil as well. So
Yeah.
last season.
You can't take any team. Well,
No, never.
you know, me and you learned that lesson last week, didn't we, Neil?
We
Because
did.
I did agree with you. Although, in fairness, my point was that we do it to ourselves, and I think we did do it to ourselves against Halifax. But that's by the by. So they've got Woking, haven't they?
That's tough.
They've got two. They've won 2 in the last 5, drawn 2, so their form's not too bad.
Woking is hard to play against, I think. That's their trickiest game.
I don't know who the other game is. I know it's Maidstone, but I can't remember the other one is.
I want to say Wealdstone, but I often just say Wealdstone when people aren't sure.
I think they played Wealdstone recently. Hold on, let me get their fixtures up.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
last weekend, you're right.
They beat
Yeah,
them
okay.
3-0, didn't they?
I got to stop saying Wealdstone.
York City, but
York, that's it.
Maidstone is not the last game of the season for them.
Oh, beg your pardon.
It's the second to last. They've got York at home,
Yeah.
last game of the season, and I think York they're not
should be safe.
mathematically safe, but I think they're like
They're in free fall at the moment. They're York, aren't they? Halifax went and beat them 3-0 on Saturday. Yesterday, sorry.
I think with what's left, though, they've got enough in the tank there to make sure that they don't go down. Well, saying that, a couple of bad results. Anyway, a couple of bad results, and they could be fighting for survival on the last day of the season. There's a lot of teams down there, so it's an interesting relegation race, and it's nice for us to not be involved in that end of the table, isn't it? Look, you know, you just wouldn't have had us down to lose against Halifax, would you? So.
Yes,
You can't take any of these teams for granted at all.
And that made yesterday's game such a bigger game than it
let's-
was before the Halifax game.
Nice segue, Neil. Let's get back to the game in hand. Notts County. I look. It's one of those that I think if we don't win the league or we don't go up, then it'll soon be forgotten. But if we do win the league, that I'll probably remember that as the best Wrexham home game I've ever been to be totally honest with you. Personally.
Dover.
No, I know you say Dover. Dover was a crazy game.
A freak game that was.
That was very, very fun in some ways.
Eventually.
The last 20 minutes were.
Yeah. And I 100% know where you're coming from, Mark, but I just think that the magnitude of importance on that game, the feeling that, like I was saying earlier, about that just raw emotion beforehand of feeling absolutely dreading it, to go a goal behind and then to win.
But the outcome of both games were very similar, you know. When Dover, we scored a very, very, very late winner to make it 6-5. Yesterday, you know, Notts County had a penalty last minute at a time to make it a 3-3 draw. And I think the exhilaration and enjoyment for both games would be matched basically on Foster's save yesterday, you know, compared to the win against Dover, because I didn't think, I thought it's a penalty they're going to score and I'm going to feel like we've lost the game, you know. But, yeah, what a feeling. What a feeling.
You're doing the song lyric thing now, are you?
What a feeling.
Irene Cara. Yeah. Let's hope Callan have paid their PRS and they'll be allowed to sing these songs. Ben Foster's two-handed save.
Yes.
Because he
one
saves
hand
it
and
one
the
hand
other.
and hits the other, accidentally, obviously, but still he's got his hand across there. That's probably why.
I think it would have gone in off his
I think it might,
bottom hand if he hadn't had his top hand there to whack it round as well.
Yeah.
What
Crazy,
a save,
isn't it?
and what I
Remarkable.
liked, I've watched when Howard comes over to, I know he swears at him and I won't say that, but he comes and jumps on top of him. I thought, what a lovely scene that was. to see Howard.
Yeah. Fair play.
Well, it falls on what we were saying last week, doesn't it, about how Howard has taken this so well.
Absolute class, that man. Fair play to him. You know, I got a lot of time for that. That's something else. It was funny in the pubs afterwards. The pub we were in, they kept playing the penalty over and over again. I don't know who was in control of it, but everybody in the pub cheered every single time. Every single time he saved it. Oh.
Well, I lost my mind when he scored because I got so carried away that I just started shouting, O'Connell's put the ball in the building site. Because for some reason that excited me that, we've wasted time as well. I don't know why. It's like I was so overexcited. I was just shouting irrelevant things. Not my normal state of being calm, but saying irrelevant things.
And then they had a corner from that, didn't they? And that corner came in and Lee was there to head it out from like 4 yards. Whether Foster was behind him, I think, and would have got it. But Lee cleared that header from, and
It was helped into a good position, wasn't it?
It was.
If they'd been attacking there, we'd have been, well, we'd have drawn anyway. That would have been cruel, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But from start of the game, electric atmosphere. We had owners both in the ground, and I believe other celebrities as well were there. I mean, there was a lady there. And I can't,
There was a lady.
No, a well-known act, one of co-star from Deadpool, apparently.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Female actress.
I don't know which one.
I don't know,
yeah,
but yeah,
fair enough.
apparently
Yeah,
she was there as
I'll
well
need to have a look at that.
It's the one who plays Gail Tilsley in Coronation Street.
Is that the one?
She was in
Okay,
Deadpool.
it may well have been. Yeah. I don't know what her name is.
Helen Worth, is
That could well be it. Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
one.
So, should we start? Should we go chronologically? I suppose pick the game apart a little bit.
Yeah.
First half. Now, I want to be careful to not sound arrogant because I know when me and Che debriefed after the game, he didn't necessarily agree. I don't think they really troubled us in the first half.
And Neil was saying that throughout the commentary, wasn't he?
I was, yeah.
I think
Pretty football.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a lot of teams this season. The Southend game is a good one.
Possession.
Where you look at it and you're watching it at the time and you're nervous and you think, oh God, they've had all the ball and all this. But actually, when you look at the stats, I do need to look at the stats of that game again. But it was like, how many shots on target have they actually had? How many real chances have they had in that period? And I don't think, other than the goal, obviously, I don't think they had a lot. But I mean, my memory could just be clouded slightly.
Foster did make a couple of good saves, didn't he?
He made the save when he tipped it around the post, didn't he, in the first half? So but that was it, I think, in the first half, wasn't it? But it was a good hit.
It was, yeah. I mean, to be fair, on the Wrexham players, Langstaff was not in the game at all because we defended so well. O'Connor, whenever need to, was on Rodriguez. So his, the balls into the box never came.
Yeah, do you know what the way O'Connor and O'Connell played, where they were pressing against their attacking midfielders?
Yeah,
they were super. Every time someone got a ball just outside that 12, just outside the box, straight on them, weren't they? Straight on them, and I thought we pressed them really, really impressively. The most impressive pressing display we've had this season, I think.
Tactically, I think Parkin's got a spot on, and he knew who to. To man mark. Yeah, and he got it so right.
Absolutely spot on. I thought, tactically we just hit every nail on the head. Yeah, they still scored 2 goals because that's how quality they are. But
from set pieces.
Yeah, which is quite funny, isn't it? Because the talk of
with us,
even from Wrexham fans, was we'll get you on set pieces and you'll get us with free flowing football, whichever way it goes. And actually, it was kind of the other way around in a way, Mark, wasn't it? I wouldn't say we were completely free flowing, but it was, our goals came from that sort of open play.
Yeah.
I'm bored of people talking about we're supposed to be long ball or whatever because we have a player with a long throw in. It's totally irrelevant that we choose to use that weapon. You look at the football that players like Lee and Cannon are capable of, and the strikers, and supposedly we just lump it. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. But I mean, I just think that I thought Notts County. My lad Ben put it nicely when I got home. He was saying they had control of the game, but they didn't hurt us enough.
No.
And we were able to hurt them. Yeah. And Che said beautifully in the final whistle when we were summing it up, he said it's like Notts County are a skillful fighter, but Wrexham with a side with a punch, a boxer with a punch. And I think that was a nice
knockout punch.
A nice comparison, I think, as well. I have to really think carefully about this because I think I've changed my mind quite a bit about that game since it happened. In that I felt we were knocking the ball over the top too eagerly. I think that's often the sign that we're playing badly.
But wasn't that because they had such a high line? And we were trying to exploit behind there because of Mullins' pace.
Oh, 100%. But that's for me. That's a classic sucker punch that we've fallen into. When we're playing badly, we start knocking long balls over the top because we put the pressure. That's when we don't. The games when we don't perform, or periods where we don't perform. And Notts County play a very high line, and we were tempted into it. But I thought, like I said, we were being tempted into a sucker punch because we weren't achieving anything from it. Now, having looked back at the footage,
we did have arguments over this yesterday.
Yeah,
I was saying he was onside.
I thought that the linesman was mostly getting it right. Now, having looked back at the footage, he wasn't.
5 were wrong.
So I've got to reassess this
Because it is working, isn't
because
it?
it was working.
Yeah.
It's just the linesman wasn't rewarding us. So
The linesman wasn't working.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
must-
gather, didn't Mr. Parkinson have a word with the ref at half-time as well?
But I think he did as he came in, didn't he, apparently? You can't go and see him at half-time.
No,
You end up in a whole Jose Mourinho situation,
Yeah.
don't you, where you get the referee resigning and stuff. But no, I just thought, I was really pleased. At half-time, I was saying we need to get the extra pass in the midfield. Don't get tempted in and play it over the top hurriedly. Play the extra pass so that pass up behind the defence is easier. And that was exactly what we did with that first goal. I was so glad to see it. James Jones got the ball in the sort of situation where you expect us to just knock it. And we were in the first half, and he played a square pass to Barrett and made a curved run to be onside. And Barrett played a lovely ball down the side for him, and we'd opened them up. And I just thought, huge credit to James Jones. So I was talking about last week in terms of how he times the pass to Elliot Lee for the goal against Oldham. Again, I thought he was excellent yesterday. He does all the things people don't notice.
Well, didn't he pass it to Barnett and then he carried on his run and did the angled run and then back to him as he was going down the wing?
Well, and that he makes the run and then he plays it first time in. And what
Effort
a
into
pass to
Mullin.
Mullin.
Yeah.
And what a bold finish by Mullin, who sticks it in the bottom corner first time.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's
yeah,
Mullin, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see county fans were crying about whether Mullin fouled their defender on the way in, but hey,
I don't think so at all.
Well,
looking at it.
there was an absolutely stonewall penalty that we didn't get.
Yeah.
Slocum did he handball it outside the area?
He did, but I don't think he could have.
it was deflected basically.
Was it right? It
Well,
was
no,
hard to tell.
It was
from
so
where.
it's a 50-50, wasn't it? And Mullin hits it. Well, he hits it against Mullin. It bounced back onto him.
Yeah.
But he couldn't. They're virtually running into each other. They're so close. He can't get his arm out of the way of that, and it wasn't up either. It was fairly down, really.
That's fair enough.
But I don't think, to be fair, County can complain about the ref. I think he helped them out more than us.
He did, yeah.
That goal with Mullin, watching it back, Cameron's just not quick enough, so he tries to block Mullin off. He's thinking, okay, before the ball comes in, I'm going to take him out. And he tries to block him off, but Mullin is a little scrapper, so he grabs him and pushes past him. And when Cameron gets close to him again, Mullin gives him a little nudge, but it's certainly, I mean, Hell's Bells, if that's a foul, then we should have had a few penalties yesterday. No, definitely not. It's just bad defending, which, to be fair, Mark Stallard, the ex-Notts County striker, was alongside us.
Yeah.
And afterwards, he was basically saying he thought County's defending was abysmal. Yeah, it's bad defending for me, not a foul.
Yeah,
we
fair
backtracked
enough.
a little bit before the first half because, we conceded a goal in the first half.
Yeah, of course.
Added time. Again, looking back at the replay.
Not a foul.
Not a foul. He tripped himself up.
Yeah.
There was contact there before, but he tripped over his own feet.
Well,
I think it was poor defending mainly from the Wrexham defence that they didn't jump in the wall. And I think that's what Foster was saying, that they should have jumped. Because I think if they had jumped, they'd gone off the hedge and over the bar. But yeah, that was a sucker punch before half time. I didn't think they deserved it based on the play.
I had a really, even though I said that they didn't threaten us, and obviously, they did score, so I wasn't completely right. So I am still correcting myself there, but I had a funny feeling that they were going to nick something in the last 2 or 3 minutes, and I thought, I need to go down to the toilet. I'm just, I'm too nervous. And then I just started speaking to some mates who were in the beer queue and hear because they had the BT feed on in the concourse. We don't usually have the game on, but obviously with it being on BT, I suppose they could show it. And you could hear, but it was a little bit delayed, so you could hear the cheers from Notts County before the ball went in. It was like, oh, for sake.
You went to B&Q at half time?
The beer
queue.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you were Alex Hamilton.
He didn't get what he wanted, did he?
That's exactly right. Did you get served?
You
can't remember. It's great, this, isn't it?
I didn't. No, I didn't get served because
you didn't get what you wanted either.
No, a mate of mine went down a little bit earlier because it's like a bit of a tradition now that he goes beforehand, and he managed to get them before the
the main rush.
Yeah. So That was all right.
I mean, to be fair to you, though, you were saying, about correcting yourself over them not looking threatening. It did take an absolutely superb free kick.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
To take that. I mean, it was a hell of a strike by Bostock. He was obviously technically an excellent player. His career's not gone as it probably should do, but he's a very, very talented footballer.
And I just want to say something about that. I don't think this is Notts County fans, to be fair, but there's a narrative that they're the plucky little underdogs and we're the big Rolls-Royce millionaires rolling in with all our fancy, expensive players. Bostock's played in Europe. Was it Toulouse he played for? Was that Bostock or was that another
Dijon,
player?
wasn't he? Probably.
Right,
I think it was at Toulouse, wasn't he?
Well,
I mean, he played. It wasn't all first division French football that he played. But having said that, I agree. I mean, they're spending good money on players as well. Yeah. Not as much as us, I don't think.
It's not in the caliber that we're spending, but there's. I'm sure if you look online, you can see a lot of talk about the debt that they're in and all that sort of stuff, and we don't need to get into that because I don't know enough and I don't want to sound stupid. But, this as much as both sides are very, very deserving of the points, this is not a plucky little underdog versus the big spending boys. And neither is it, at least from a footballing perspective, an underdog story for us. Now, the narrative in the documentary of us being an underdog story, more, if you've watched it, it's obviously more about the fact that the fairy tale side of it comes from the fact that we were floundering until we were bought, rather than necessarily the fact that we're spending big money is the underdog side of it, because that's clearly not true. But, I mean, these are two very quality sides that have had money spent on them. Let's be completely honest.
And I would say we've spent more than them, but I'd also say we've spent exceptionally well, because lots of clubs get an influx of money and spend badly, and we haven't.
Yeah.
It's the usual pattern is when a club gets a rich owner, the first manager gets sacked. They'll bring in a couple of these, Mark Hughes at Man City comes to mind. They might do a little bit of a foundation role, bring in a couple of key players, but it'll be probably the next person who'll build from that. I just think, I'll say about Notts County's situation, which I think is there's no problems for them, but they're 14 million in debt. That's absolutely no problem as long as their owners are committed to them and they appear to be committed to them. And any business is allowed to spend money, and then you invest in order to then make a profit later.
Of course,
in all likelihood, probably they'll just write it off, the loan off. And that'll be fine. But it does show there's been a lot of investment into the club. And good luck to them. I desperately hope that it's them and us who go up this season. I think it'd be a disgrace if we didn't.
We've gone blow for blow with them all season, haven't we?
Oh, God, yeah.
There's barely been 3, maybe 6 points between us all season. And we win, they win. I mean, it'll be such a travesty if one of us do not go up. And if not both of us,
Let's look at the facts now as well. That we have 103 points now. Mm-hmm. So that's the 6th most any team has ever got in Britain, in the top 5 leagues of the English pyramid. If we win on Barnet, we will equal the record. Yeah. And yet, Notts are only 3 points behind us. There's only one season ever in the history of organised football in Britain when 2 teams have got 100 points in the same season. Wow. And it's us and Notts County this year. If you wanted an explanation of why having only one automatic place going up in National League is wrong, but there you go.
Is this a one-off season? I mean,
well, yeah, it's the first time it's happened.
Yeah, but is it likely to happen again in the near future? Maybe not. I don't know.
I would argue
that I don't understand.
Well, will this, the same scenario happen next season in the National League where two teams.
No, I'm not saying that.
I would argue, right, that this is the second year in a row that 2 fantastic teams have been at the top of the table.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Even though Stock put in quite at the points total, they were a fantastic side last year, really fantastic side, and Chesterfield were good for a lot of the season last year, and have been good for a lot of the year this year until they had their wobble or whatever.
It happened with us in Fleetwood.
The quality and the quality in this division. Quality in this division is sorry, Mark.
No, it's right. Yeah, I'm the one talking over you.
My idea, I think that they should compromise and they should have, like in the Scottish and German and Dutch and a few other leagues set up where you have the third placed team. No, sorry, the third from bottom team in League 2 automatically goes into the final of our playoffs to see who's in League 2. So We have a...
You mean we got 2 automatic spaces and then that?
Yes, yeah. So first and second go up automatically from us. Yeah. Then third, fourth, fifth and sixth have a playoff. One leg, third play sixth, fourth play fifth, and then they play another leg against each other. And then the winner of that at Wembley or wherever plays the third from bottom team in League Two.
I see your logic, but I say no, just 3 up, 3 down. Personally, I think there's a wrong to be corrected here, and I don't want a half measure. I say 3 up, 3 down, end of. If you look at the League Two table up, I think you'll see an awful lot of dead in the water teams in the bottom third of League Two, like Grimsby were before. Well, not by Grimsby side, I mean Scunthorpe, I meant to say. Yeah. Like Scunthorpe, who then plummeted straight down. Like Oldham, who are slowly turning themselves around. But a lot of clubs now come down. They should have come down, rebuilt, and gone back up years ago. And with 3 up, 3 down, they can.
But you look at Stevenage, who were very close to getting relegated. Was it last season?
Yeah.
And where they are this season,
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
Stevenage, who came up from the National League and therefore showed that there should be flesh blood in the Football League.
Football League,
yeah. So my point is with that, not so much that 3 up, 3 down is the best solution, but if the EFL are going to be that stubborn about it, I think maybe that is a compromise. I think it's a compromise that should be on the table, really, just because I love the idea of a relegation playoff. I love that in Germany. I love it in Scotland. I love the fact that they do that because it's just something a bit spicy, isn't it? And it gives a chance for a team that are actually doing really badly a little bit of redemption, because it does happen every now and again where the team that are up in that division will win against the team that are trying to come up. So, but yeah, anyway. So looking at the bottom of League Two, we've got Rochdale on 33 points. They're probably pretty much dead and buried, aren't they, on that? I think mathematically it's not.
They have been improving their results, I think, a bit recently.
Looking at their form, they drew last time they played and then won the 2 games before that, lost and drew. So they've only lost 1 in the last 5, so that's pretty decent, isn't it?
This is the weirdest discussion of the Notts County game I've ever heard. I've got to be honest.
Oh, Mark, we've got plenty of time to fill, I think. So
okay. If that's your attitude to the listener, then by all means.
Cut that. Let's have a look. So Rochdale on 33 points, Crawley on 38, Hartlepool on 39, Harrogate on 41, Colchester on 42, Gillingham, Newport, Wimbledon all on 47, Crewe on 48. And then obviously from there upwards, it's not. I mean, you probably say it's Colchester downwards are the teams that are still in the mix, aren't they? I mean, I suppose it's a team like Hartlepool have only just gone up as well, though. So that's the other argument, isn't it, for the quality of the teams in this division? They've not long gone up. Harrogate haven't that long gone up, and they're both in the battle.
Oh, fine, lads, leave it as it is.
No, I don't agree. I'm just this is what's used in the counter argument, isn't it? I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit. I'd love it to be 3 up, 3 down. It's been since long before we even got into that division, and you're talking 15 years, aren't you? That it should have been 3 up, 3 down, really.
Oh, no question.
There was a time when nobody went up. It was on a vote, wasn't it? I think
that's right.
Yeah.
So but hopefully we won't have to worry about that for.
Let's hope not. Should we get to the second half? We seem to be bouncing around.
I want to talk about the first half, actually.
Carry on talking. Go for it,
because we did skirt around the penalty shouts we had.
Yeah.
The first one on Mullen is a penalty.
When he's pushing the back.
And I mean, how? Well, he's pushing the chest, wasn't he? The ball comes into the far post.
Yeah.
And Cameron, he just turns his back on the ball. He runs across the width of the 6-yard box, not looking at the ball, just staring at Mullen, and then shoves him in the chest. I mean, it's a penalty. How is that anything but a penalty?
He knows Cameron. It's very sly, that, because he knows Mullen doesn't really get penalties, does he? It's a bit of a myth that Mullen scores penalties, but he quite not. He's obviously won us a fair few amount of penalties, but they'll have done their scouting work, and he can go down quite easily. So he's taking his chances there, isn't he? And thought the ref might not give this because Mullen's got a reputation for going down easy.
For me,
if you look at it again, though, the way his arms sort of like move, it's a very exaggerated movement when he falls. He's clearly been pushed. It's clearly a penalty, but it's very. clever in a cheating way, but I think it was a clever move by Cameron.
I don't
for
think.
his
I think
team.
you're crediting him with a lot more cunning than he had. I think he just decided he'd run at Mullen and push him over and hope that he gets away with it because refs are scared.
Referee had a good view of it as well.
Ref's got a good view of it. And for me, the thing that's maybe made him make the mistake, let's be honest, it's a mistake to not give the penalty there, is that, as you say, Mullen hurls himself backwards once there's contact. Yeah. There was no need because he makes firm contact with him.
Yeah.
He should have just fallen over as normal and immediately appealed. But he does throw himself back, and I think that probably is why Mullen sometimes doesn't get free kicks he should get, because he's fouled, but he sees it coming, and he tries to make sure the ref sees it. Yeah. And then the second one, when he raced through the middle, and Slocum came out for it, I mean, for me, although I don't think it's the most huge contact by Slocum, and at the time I thought it was a dive by Mullen, when you look at it, I mean, Slocum bends his knee and flicks his foot out in order to trip Mullen over. I mean, it's such an unnatural movement. It's clearly deliberate.
Yeah.
And that is a red card. And I think was it in or just outside the box? I'm not sure, but whichever.
Just outside the box.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So it's a red card. The keeper should be off after 20 odd minutes. I mean, so we had the rough end of these decisions.
We really did, and when that first goal went in, I felt like this is going to be another Grimsby game where the referee went against us in that Grimsby game. Not to sound like all like we're victims or whatever, but that game, the keeper should have been sent off in that game. If it was challenge on, was it Bryce Hosanna? Yeah. Awful, absolutely awful challenging decision, and he should have been sent off, and that should have been a penalty, shouldn't it? And they didn't have a keeper on the bench. We'd have won that game if that had happened. But,
that's right.
And it really, really, for me, felt like that was what was going to happen. But second half, Neil.
Well, we came down
out
at half time, didn't we? Which for me was a sucker punch, because I didn't think we deserved it at half time going in 1-0 down. Second half, we come out all guns blazing like Wrexham have done for most of the season. We seem to be a different team and press, and the football was fluid. The passing was a lot better. But again, County were playing that high line, as Mark explained earlier. The through ball that Barnett played to Jones down the wing on an angle so he could run into it, and then the cross into the box for Mullen was sublime, and that's they were playing such a high line. There was so much space behind their back four that Jones had all that space to run in, and again we did it on our second goal as well.
And the third was O'Connell scooping it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Doing the Ray Wilkins.
I mean, I can't wait to talk about that, but we'll go through everything first before we do. But the crowd just erupted, didn't it? It's like Ben Foster said on an interview, if you could bottle that feeling up and sell it, you'd be a multi-millionaire. I'm paraphrasing a bit there, but it didn't feel real because I really thought we were going to get robbed. I genuinely thought we were just going to get robbed. And when the goal goes in so quick after half time, we've done that to a few teams, haven't we? Come out and got a quick goal, for either half. And
Halifax did it to us on Friday.
Yeah. But it just completely changed the complexion of the game, didn't it?
It completely changed the whole atmosphere in the ground as well. And the fans believing again, we can do this.
Although in fairness, we were pretty good when we considered, we were. I think the atmosphere has got to be said. The fans really played their part, didn't they? Everyone in there, and I would say just the fans, but I think I love it when you get your singing voice out, Neil. It's great. Even the commentators are in on it.
The crowds were brilliant when Bostock scored, because there was a moment of silence and then they were just roaring, and it just sounded so. It was like, right, we're all in this together. Yeah. And then the start of the second half. Well, I got to say, for me, one of the great cliches, best time to score a goal just before half time.
Correct.
It's nonsense. The statistics don't back it up that you get a win if you score that. They don't back up that that's more important than near the goal. And quite frankly, I think maybe after half time is the best. You've had your half time, you've reset yourself, you've come out, and then it's all gone wrong for you because you've let a goal in straight away and everything's changed. Yeah. That's when you don't want to concede.
Like you say, we saw that at the Halifax game.
And I just thought that the way we took it on then was really, really good. Barnett's a good player, isn't he? He's very threatening.
He's fantastic, and Mendy had an incredible game as well. I think a lot of the chat was that Nemain was gonna run him ragged, but I think actually it was the other way around, wasn't it?
I thought Nemain caused him some problems, and Mendy dug in to fight with him. I thought it was a really good duel. I've heard lots of people saying they thought Mendy was brilliant, and a lot of people saying they thought Mendy was poor. And I think the truth is that he was tested by Nemain, and Nemain had to come off in the end. So I think Mendy's probably won that on balance. But there were points when Nemain got him behind.
Fair enough.
But he didn't actually deliver the right ball, so he didn't hurt us.
No, I thought he did a fantastic job. It was like a sparring contest between the two of them.
Yeah.
And, neither could get past each other. So, I think he did an excellent job. And then for the second goal, he busted a gut to get in that area for that, again, fantastic ball in from Mullin across the front of the 6-yard box. And he busted his gut. And again, it wasn't an easy goal to score, was it?
It was a great finish, that, I thought.
From a tight angle.
And as well, the defender lunging in front of him, he's done really well to lift it, because if he just tries to drill it across the keeper low, the defender will get the block in, but he realised that and he lifted it in the top corner. I saw him today and I said to him, he is an exclusive for Dragonheart. I said, I love the way you lifted it over that defender. And he said, thank you.
Did he?
It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. That's an exclusive for Dragonheart. Remember where you heard it first? He said, thank you. There you go. Amazing, isn't it?
And then the crowd did.
Uncle Griff's bedtime story.
Fair play.
And then the crowd did explode.
It is.
Yeah.
That's one of those aesthetically pleasing goals. I remember. What?
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I thought you were just moaning. Well, Neil's going to go have a go at me like last week.
I'm not like you.
You're not like me. I saw you going at Shay last week. Blaming out. It was scary. It was like thinking, where the dragon heart. But I always remember Trevor Brooking scoring a goal for England in Hungary, where he nailed it in the top corner and it's stuck in the stanchion of the net. And it's just what you think, oh, that's special. Yeah. And I just looking at the camera angle on Mendy's goal is great. The way he sticks it in the top corner, it's just so pleasing. It's just,
Again, a great move, great move by the team. We got in behind the back of them. And again, we could have got a third one when O'Connell hit the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a penalty? You look at that again. His marker is just holding him by the chest, and he's falling over because he's jumped on him. That's a penalty, surely.
I'd need to look at it again. I think I've watched patches of highlights, but I haven't sat and watched like a more extended package or whatever. I
think that sometimes the camera doesn't fully do justice to how
possibly,
fast the ball moves as well.
Yeah,
because watching that live, my God, that ball was travelling. I mean, he just hit the meaty part of the ball, didn't he? That was fabulous.
Oh, yeah, it was right in front of where we sat, and it looked... I know you've only got a split second as the ball's travelling, but it looked like it was a goal. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those that you think, damn.
I mean, I'd have saved it, but...
Well, yeah, of course,
And then we brought back down to reality with them equalising.
Yeah.
And then we went and spoiled it all by doing something stupid like conceding.
It's very musical today, Mark.
That's right. I'm inhabiting the soul of Nancy Sinatra.
Was that poor defending by Wrexham for their second goal?
No, she's Frank Sinatra's daughter.
Okay.
It was really poor defending, and
didn't pick him up.
It was and it was a similar goal that we conceded against Sheffield United, wasn't it? And
against Grimsby.
And against you did say earlier, didn't you? Yeah, and we do sometimes switch off on set pieces, don't we? So.
It's a kind of goal that Mullin scores as well. He'll peel off at the back. Header, and he's done that a couple of times this season.
Oh, this was more just as well. They've come from the sort of orthodox edge of the area, haven't they? And I think if you look at it, it's that Dalby is watching the player on the edge of the box who doesn't make a run, and then Cameron makes a run across him, and Dalby has to quickly make a decision: am I going to go with him or not? And decides, no, I'll pass it on to the players in the 6-yard box, but there was nobody at the far post. They got drawn in. So,
I mean, these things are going to happen when you're playing a quality side that have got clever players, isn't it? But I don't think they, even after that, they didn't really look like they were going to capitalise on it, did they? Too much.
Not really. No. I'll come back to what you said, Neil, about Langstaff. But yeah, you're right. He didn't get a kick, and I sort of feel that's not unusual. That was not a cue for Tom Jones. He is a player who. He's basically invisible until he gets the ball between the posts, and then he's utterly machine-like in his efficiency. But the thing is that, like you said, we organised ourselves very well, where if O'Connor or O'Connell is stepping out to deal with Bostock or Rodriguez, then the other two centre-backs are watching him, and therefore that supply line from Bostock and Rodriguez to Langstaff is cut off. And he was just standing there watching the game because he's not got movements. Well, he's got great movements in the box, but he's not a player who's like Mullen, who's dragging people out to the flanks. He's going to tear down the wing and stick a cross in like Mullen did.
And I'd have Mullen any day over him, to be honest.
Yeah, especially for the way we play.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to criticise him though. I think he's an absolutely outstanding penalty area striker. I mean, he's technically
what you call maybe
brilliant.
a goal poacher, maybe.
Yeah. He's got the most brilliant first touch. Some of the goals he scores is hopeful whacks over the top, and he'll chase it, and you think, oh wow, unlucky mate, and then bam, he's just killed it dead, and then but the keeper's not set himself yet, and bang, it's past him. He's an outstanding technical player. He should be playing a lot higher, but he's not. He doesn't get involved in build-up play, and we cut the supply line off by, like you said, stepping up.
Yeah.
And therefore we rendered him redundant, essentially.
And I can't remember whether it was the first half or second half where he was literally inches away from a great ball across the front of the box, which I think Foster actually got his hands to and went out to a corner as well. Yeah.
The second half, that was when they hit it across and he dived.
Yeah.
That was that depressing sequence that led to the equaliser, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where they whipped it in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, cross or shot, I'm not sure. But
I think it was more of a shot,
yeah.
maybe. But
Foster did well to push it away.
Yeah.
Then from the corner, they get it back in, and Austin breaks in the box and nails it in the top corner, and Foster makes an absolutely outstanding save, especially when you see it from the replay, and you see that he's unsighted at the start, and it's really well struck, but then they score from that corner. And it's like,
all that hard
Foster
work.
dug us out twice there, and we'd gone and knocked Marks, the biggest bloke in their team, from a corner.
Yeah.
And we're back to old square again.
Yeah. But
What a
again,
roller coaster.
it was, wasn't it? The game had it all, to be fair. And I bet, if you were neutral, and I think there's not many neutrals these days because we're such a Marmite club, on social media at the moment, aren't we? People either love us or hate us, and
Well, when you look
I
at
love that.
The stats that you put on earlier, phenomenal.
Oh yeah. So see if I can get them.
Well,
up
it
on
was
my phone.
2.6. Was it 2.69 million
Tweets
tweets during the game?
Well,
Let me find
he'll
very
get it now,
quickly.
And over 10 million for the whole duration.
So
More watched.
So total Twitter mentions for Wrexham versus Notts County was 61,923. Liverpool versus Arsenal, which was the late kickoff, was it, or was it the early kickoff?
Afternoon kick. It was a 4:30 kickoff
on Sunday. Yeah,
yeah.
of course. That was 61,795. Full-time announcement total Twitter views: 1.8 million for Liverpool, 2.9 million for Arsenal, 10.5 million for Wrexham. And I know Ben. Last time I checked, Ben Foster's highlights of his the penalty save was on something like 8.4 million views on BT Sports.
Wow.
Twitter, which is just. I know he's a very popular personality, and that will play a part in it. But that's just crazy numbers, isn't it? Absolutely crazy numbers. I mean, it's something really special is going on with this club, isn't it? And I can understand why people don't like us, because I think if the shoe was on the other foot, I probably wouldn't like us either.
I just think, when you think about, I wish I hadn't sat in this chair. It's only why I feel as uncomfortable as by Rami for the third goal. But to think of the international status of those clubs, which has been embedded deliberately over decades, and to think that we got more attention. And the Arsenal game is relevant to the Premier League title race.
And
it's astounding, isn't it?
Both clubs are giants of the game.
And it was an epic match as well.
Liverpool, you'd say, are probably in the top 5 most recognisable clubs in the world. Do you think that'd be fair to say?
Yeah.
But Barca, Real, United,
Boris Park.
with Churchill Port.
Yeah. Well, exactly. How could I forget?
No, Bayern Munich, maybe, and Liverpool. PSG now,
But they're up in that, and then Arsenal would be top 10, I would have thought.
Yeah,
really.
you'd have thought so. Two absolute, and for them to be playing each other.
Yeah.
Significance of the game. I know Liverpool's form haven't been great, but these are clubs that have got fans in China, in Nigeria,
every corner of the world.
in real every corner of the world.
Just like Wrexham now.
Really, well, I suppose, but the potential to be untapped there. I still think we're just scratching the surface, aren't we, of what the club could build.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible. But back to the game. That third goal.
My word.
Mark, talk us through the third goal.
I can't remember what happened now.
Up and under rugby.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
It was like rugby.
We don't
with
mention the R word in a.
Well, you see, O'Connell comes from good rugby stock.
And his brother's a rugby player.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we got the good one.
Just been taking lessons from his brother.
Well, but the thing is
that the kind of thing that they do in Gaelic football as well? I know he's the rugby family, but it seems like it's a.
Owen O'Connell does something really intelligent,
He does.
and you guys are now trying to say, it was rugby. Shocking.
No, it wasn't
No.
It was intelligent, it was technical, and it was...
Because, of course, there is absolutely no intelligence in rugby either.
Thank you very much. I mean, if he tried that in rugby, remember, the rugby ball is shaped as it is to make the bounce random and take skill out of it. Whereas because he did it with a football, he could clip it, put spin on it, let it sit up and chase it, and he knew where it would bounce.
Well, I mean, Notts County, they stood still, didn't they? They didn't think it was going to happen.
Wasn't it? It was brilliant.
If you watch it, then you realise when he's gone past them, that he's gone past them.
And I tell you what I really love about it as well is that watching it again, I assumed when it happened that he's basically chipped it, and then he's thought, hang on, I could chase this. He can be opportunistic.
Nobody's
but when you
going
watch
for
it, but when you watch it, the replay, he meant that from the start. He's got that ball. He thought there's a very high line here. I can dink this and get to it by the time they turn.
Mullin couldn't go for it because he was offside.
There was just no hesitation. There wasn't a chip and then, I'll do this. He hit it and ran. He knew exactly what he was doing. It's brilliant.
That's one way to get around some bad officiating, isn't it?
Yes, that's it.
You can't play yourself offside.
That's so true. I said in the commentary, it reminds me of one of the most remarkable goals that I've seen. And have a look at it and you'll see that it shouldn't really be possible. Where England are playing Belgium in the 1980 European Championships. Remember that, Bill? And the Belgians were playing an old-fashioned offside trap and were getting them out all the time, getting them caught out all the time. And then Ray Wilkins gets the ball. I mean, it's only about 25 yards out. So how he manages to do this, I'm not quite sure. And he does what O'Connell did, but in the centre of the pitch. He chips it over the Belgian defence. I mean, the thing is, when you chip it, when you're only that 25 yards out, how the heck it doesn't go through to the keeper? I don't know how he did that. It's brilliant. Runs through the whole defence and then nails it and scores. And it is such a beautiful technical goal. But O'Connell did so well.
That's two mentions of England now, Mark. Come on.
You know, you've got to.
You're not allowed to swear on this show. It's on a family-friendly radio station.
I apologise.
There are English listeners out there as well.
Of course.
Of course.
Look, of course. And my dad is English. Let me get that out there. Not to do like the old racist thing when you say you've got friends of different ethnicities. But
lots of Wrexham fans from England as well, guys. So. But it was an innocuous ball into the area as well that he put in. I mean, what their defender was thinking.
You know what I'm going to say now?
Go on, go for it, Mark.
Tony Adams, 1992, 4th of January.
Yeah.
Makes a mess of it at exactly that spot.
Yeah.
And Steve Watkins swoops, Mullin swoops, and decides he's going to pass it. Yeah, he was terribly generous in the second half. Mullin passing in the goalmouth all the time.
Yeah.
A lovely little poke.
It was just a poke.
Yeah.
There was no pace on it.
Little stun shot in billiards.
Yeah.
Lovely. And Lee couldn't really mess, could he?
Oh, no. And do you know what? There's an absolutely fantastic angle of Lee's celebration after he scores on that BT no filter.
There is.
He slides in front of the camera and points at the Wrexham badge.
Pats his
Come on.
Yeah.
But then we could have gone 4-2 up.
Yeah.
Another great ball through by Mullin again to Dolby.
Mullin could have shot, couldn't he? But he
passed it to Dolby. It was acre of space. Keeper made a great save, but he hit it low. Whether he should have dinked it like Mendy did, and it could have been safe, and we could have had a relaxed 10 minutes of the game, but it didn't end like that.
Well, do you know what? That's why the game reminded me so much of the Sheffield United game, because there was a missed Dalby chance in that game.
There was,
and then we went and conceded a sloppy, silly goal in the last couple of minutes, and obviously we've got that Ben Foster save to talk about in a minute, but there's a lot of shades of that, and I think it just goes to show the quality of Notts County that. you can compare the way they play to a Championship side as well, can't you? To be fair, they're really good.
I think to be fair to Dolby on that save, although I miss it, it's the sort of thing where you think if you really get it right, the keeper's got no chance. But watching it live, it felt like he had the whole goal to aim at. When you look at it again, there is a defender which Mullen has taken out of the play with his pass, but he is getting across, and although he can't stop Dolby from shooting, he does sort of block off the shot to the keeper's left.
Right.
So I think maybe Slocum is smart and realises this is bound to go the other side. And he's able, therefore, to spread himself in that direction early. And it's a brilliant save. Let's be honest. I'm not sure Dolby, a bit like as we'll come to with a penalty, I'm not sure Dolby actually did much wrong. But Slocum really anticipated the situation. Dolby did the right thing. And Slocum was good enough to deal with it. Credit to the keeper, I think, on that.
Yeah. Yeah, can't argue that, Mark. So that penalty then, should we...
Who gave the penalty is what I would like to know.
Yeah. Fourth official, possibly?
I don't know. Because the ref didn't definitely give it.
I don't think so.
It was a strange one because for all their bad decisions, he got that one right, I think, in fairness, didn't he?
If you were going to attack a ref, it wasn't maybe him who gave it, so he didn't even see that. But it was definitely a bounce.
No,
no two ways about it. And he could have sent O'Connell off.
Did he even blow his whistle? I think that was why everyone was so confused.
Yeah. He did. I didn't hear it at the game, but I heard it on the TV coverage, so he did blow his whistle.
Fair enough.
But it was quite a long time afterwards. Yeah. And he's got to have had a shout from somebody to say that was a handball. And it definitely was.
Yeah,
and he could have sent O'Connell off. I mean, that's a header from 6 yards out towards goal. His arms like that, up shoulder height.
But
he could have sent him off.
He's not sent him off because he's not seen it.
Exactly.
I think that's what it comes down to. He's not seen it.
Is the fourth official allowed to do that then?
They weren't used to, but I
know it happened against Sheffield United when they sent off... who did they send off for his... Was it Sheffield United? It
was
Coventry. Yeah.
And that was similar to O'Connell, frankly, an arm outstretched, and it would have gone in otherwise. So I think he was a little lucky not to get that. But, all the linesmen and the fourth official, everyone's on the same earpiece. So it used to be fourth officials couldn't. I'd have to double check, but I would assume that's been dropped now.
I wouldn't want to accuse any referee of being anything other than just incompetent. But who would have actually have known if he's not going to write it in his report, is he, that the fourth officials told him? If he's just thought, oh crud, the fourth officials going Stonewall penalty in his earpiece, and he's had to go, I've got to make a decision here.
Yeah. To be fair, they came to the right decision. I don't like being fair, but it was the correct decision, no question.
But then you could have left it because of the penalty he didn't give to Wrexham against Mullen.
You can't make decisions like that. You can't think, okay, I was wrong before, although he thinks he was right anyway. So.
He even things out.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be. I know it's human nature, maybe you do something like that, but they shouldn't, should they?
No.
And did they score from that? I can't remember. All the kerfuffle waiting for it to be taken, all that long wait, and then he walks up and respots the ball.
But that's another thing. If you look at the rules, once the referee's blown his whistle, you cannot touch that ball with your hands. It's classed as a handball.
Should have been
a free kick to Wrexham.
What? Seriously?
Yeah.
I think
so much to learn.
I think it is only. It's a weird one, isn't it? Like,
he's blown his whistle. The ball is in play.
In like the sort of like spirit of fair play, if it's moved off the spot and the player's going to readjust the ball because it's moved off the spot, you kind of think fair enough.
It didn't move off the spot. They just readjusted the position of it, didn't he?
Oh, right. Well,
and that's what Ben Foster said in his interview. He knew which way he was going to shoot the ball.
He did, yeah.
Because he put it at a specific angle. And that's what
How
Ben
can he
Foster...
put a ball at an angle?
Well, this is what Ben Foster said. Ben Foster.
Yeah.
It's exactly what...
Is he
because normally, apparently, County always put it to the keeper's left.
But he's not a normal penalty taker.
Well, we know that, but that's what County normally do, is put it to the left of the keeper. But Ben Foster comes out and says he came up and repositioned that ball as if he was going to hit it to my right. So that's why I dived to the right.
So he moved the valve. So he was going to hit the valve.
I don't know what he was going to hit, but that's I'm just saying what Ben Foster said.
That's fair enough. I'll accept that.
And that's how he saved the ball. He said, because he said County normally definitely always go to the left of the keeper.
And you sort of alluded to it earlier, Mark. he's hit that ball very well.
Yeah, it's a decent penalty, that,
The player couldn't have done
Yeah.
much more, really. Obviously, could have scored, but I mean, like in terms of the actual hit of the ball, he's not done a bad job. Ben Foster's just gone the right way, made a fantastic save. Has he got a bit of luck with it hitting his other hand as it would maybe have been ricocheting in? We'll never know, because it's he's not going to admit that it was an accident to get it with his other hand. But you dive in the right direction, you get your arms in the correct position, and things like that happen.
And to me, it was just like scoring another goal for Wrexham.
Oh man!
Oh, it was in a way it was more
Better.
satisfying.
Yeah.
It was more
Yeah, 'cause
satisfying.
you think it's gone then.
1
mate.
minute you think, oh, we're only going to have a point.
Yeah.
2 points down the drain. It feels like a defeat. And the last save, you can see on our reaction on the commentary,
Oh, well, yeah. You and Jay jumping up and down. I loved every second of that. Every second. Brilliant.
You didn't like me shaking my fist then.
Oh yeah, I love
Poor-
that as
poor
well.
me.
Oh, Mark, don't feel
Mark
left
still
out.
saves. I don't know how Mark keeps his composure and sits there.
We got a job to do.
I know we have,
But
how do you contain it?
you did,
in such excitement?
Mark did scream a little bit. In
He
fairness,
did,
didn't
he
Yeah,
did.
you did.
And I started talking about the ball's in the building site.
He just said,
But
I
I
just
mean,
like that. You see, Ben Foster, you're quite right. Let's break it down. Reads the situation, dives the right way. He's a giant man, and he's got orangutan arms. So what could go wrong?
yeah.
Oh, there's a title. There's a title for the show.
I think just I didn't. It was really good, but I didn't really celebrate because I thought, oh, it's not a corner here. Let's not get too excited, because how many times does that happen where everybody popped off, switched off, and all that sort of stuff? Yeah, but no, in fairness, it was dealt with, and the referee
Well,
blew
they won the
straight
first
through.
header, didn't they? They won the header from the corner.
and then Lee headed out from goal.
That's true. Yeah,
In
that's
front
true.
of
But
Foster.
it was dealt with, and the final whistle went, and the place just absolutely erupted.
Erupted.
Oh, that was magical. What a magical game. What a magical experience. We've just now got to go and do the business to make sure it means something.
We do. We'd feel gutted if we didn't get promotion on the back of that win yesterday.
It's all in our hands now, though, Neil, isn't it?
It is, and I'm sure the players are obviously fully aware of that. They're all saying they're all pretty still grounded. They've got their feet on the ground, and they know what the task ahead is. That, and they're all saying nothing's won yet, which is very true.
Yeah.
And we just have to see that on the pitch again on Saturday, Barney, which is the 12:30 kickoff.
Well, that's a huge game. I thought the nerves were over, but they're not just yet, are they?
No.
You know what? I think we just if we play like that for every game, we'll be all right.
Trouble is, we said that after Oldham.
We did. I'm hoping that the Halifax result has kind of refocused all their mentalities a little bit.
I'm sure it will have done.
And we'll just have to wait and see. I think, gents, we've actually gone on quite long.
Yeah.
Well and true.
Fair play.
25 past
Yeah.
7.
So we'll leave it on that magical Ben Foster. I don't know how many times have I said magical today.
First time I noticed, to be fair, which probably shows you using the right choices.
Goal.
Yeah,
Hey.
that chant has been in my head all day.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Oh, I just wish sometimes maybe the club wouldn't play music at the end of the game. Let the fans
Celebrate.
dictate the atmosphere. But I'm sure they have their reasons for doing it. But yeah, any final thoughts on us, on the game?
Yes, we've neglected the actual reason it turned around, which was that, of course, we've had so many wonderful fans coming from around the world to watch us as well. And Jason Dondine and Joe came over, to two great guys. I met up with them on Friday night, and they gave us, for us to use in our halftime taste tests, a range of Girl Scout cookies, the sort of things you only see on The Simpsons, right? And it's Neil shaking.
They weren't nice, though, Mark.
Oh, they were gorgeous. You're joking.
No.
Okay. Well,
Hence
as
the
they are
good-
regular
good
listeners,
guys.
I just want to point out to you that don't worry, Neil's not really he's not really part of the team. Don't worry about it. Okay. Shocking, Neil. Shocking. How dare you be out of line with our culinary guidelines?
I'm just saying,
Insulting
I didn't like them,
our
Mark.
listeners.
I'm not insulting. I'm just being honest that I didn't enjoy them.
Well, okay, yeah, you're entitled to have your own opinion, which is wrong in this case. And they were really nice, but they were called Raspberry Rally. They're called rallying, getting back, fighting back, rallying. They were definitely the fact that we ate them.
But you didn't offer me one till after the game.
Didn't I? Oh yeah, because you disappeared at halftime. We're all doing
we're on pork pies
We're
at
doing
halftime.
yeah, that's true. It's still a broadcast. It's a broadcast on pork pies.
pies.
Andy Parkinson, another of our commentary team, a friend sent us a pork pie from Reading, and it
chilies.
was amazingly good. And all right.
And chilies.
And chilies because Ran and Anna also came over from Arizona, and they brought, amongst other things, some bags of habanero chilies they'd grown themselves, and I ate one of the fierce ones, and I didn't even blink because I'm a god.
Do you handle spice well?
Well, I mean, I don't mean like bus station on a Friday night spice. Yeah, I mean, all I can say is I am the concrete donkey. El burro hormigón.
And on that note, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for a fantastic podcast. The hangover is well and truly kicking in now because I'm forgetting what I'm meant to be saying.
I'll give you some raspberry rallies if you want.
Oh well, if you've got some, I want to.
No, I ate them all after the
match. We have been Bill Long, Neil Williams, and Mark Griffiths. Come on, the town.